Recording started.
Cool. So some general updates. I would say, yeah, obviously, I think the last 2 months is we've spent a lot of time dealing with network problems, dealing with the consequences of network problems, figuring out what are the network problems, and then also thinking about what are the alternatives. Could we do like an L2? Could we, like, what, you know, a lot of time was just spent thinking about these things. It's unclear whether all the time we spent thinking about it was productive, but it's also just hard to think in general when everyone's screaming, market makers are losing money, you don't know what's happening. So it's just hard to think about anything else, really. Yeah.
Normal, c'est une grosse merde sur CS, lui.
God damn it. Yeah, okay,
Got
next
him.
time I'm like audible. So yeah, anyway, that is, unfortunately, it took a lot of time, but as of last week, since 1.8.14 went out, the network, I would say, is like 80% good. There are still, you know, like the fundamental problem of spamming is not solved, but we are dealing, like the validators are dealing with all the spam duplicate transactions much more efficiently now. So, but you still see hiccups in the network, and those are still like a cause for concern. But I think those will be fixed once they move to the Quick protocol, away from UDP to Quick, which I don't know. They seem like Anatoly and some of the other validators seem like it's no problem. We'll just get it done soon. But it sounds to me like a sort of bigger upgrade, but we'll see. So on the Mango Market side, we have done a few things. So like the redeem, like there were just a lot of small tasks that we've been talking about for a while. And they're not actually that small. They seem kind of small, but like for example, the redeem P&L takes forever when you hit that button, and it takes a bunch of memory. Really hurts like the centralized exchange feel that we were trying to go for, and that has been optimized. We have like a database now that's doing it. I don't know if Tyler, did you like push it to main on UI?
I went ahead and upgraded and was testing it locally, but then I couldn't open a position to test it because actually there's TPS issues right now.
Wow. So yeah, like I said, 80%.
I deployed it. It's working. I tested it locally.
You deployed the client. You didn't update the UI though. That's what I was testing.
I did.
Okay.
At least I did. The local version that I built worked, and I don't know, maybe the CI build.
Yeah, it has to be pushed to Vercel, but it's not out there yet.
Anyway, okay, so it'll be out soon, like today. And you know, now you see like account performance and Clark Kenny. I don't know if he's on the call. Maybe you should have asked him if he could be on the call. He's not on the call. Yeah, so he's kind of been working on the per market, the P&L per perp market, and then also optimizing it, because right now it's just an incredible number of transactions that you have to deal with, and a lot of the logging, honestly, in Mango v3 was ad hoc. Like we learned we could do logging in a compute efficient way, and then we started to just put logging in there. So it wasn't written with Clark Kenny in mind. So yeah, anyway, so all of that stuff just kind of like slow grind, but it's done. I think he's just optimizing it for the UI. And then Microwave Cola built this thing called Treasury, which I actually don't know much about, but if he's here, we could talk about it. Or if he's here and he wants to talk about it, we could talk about it. Yeah.
So I can just say some few things. So it's
Yeah.
basically
an Anchor project, and it shows how to basically CPI into Mango. It does like some basic things. I've started off like 2 examples of like pools, for example. So you could do pool liquidators, right? Or like just deposit, like borrow lending with IOU tokens. And there is a full Rust test setup with like the whole Mango setup working. So if anybody wants to like compose on Mango, they could just fork this project and continue on top of it.
Yeah. That's yeah, kind of like good for the hackathon. A lot of the people, yeah. So thank you for getting that done. And yeah, I'm just going through just like general updates. And there's no organization here. If somebody else wants to chime in on like important things that happened in the last 2 weeks. The other thing is UXT started ramping up. I forgot do you know the Mango count? Like, is somebody here who knows the Mango count of the UXT? Yeah, the UXT Mango count. It starts with a B. I saw it before.
They have they have one for each asset. I can look, send it around.
Yeah, can do. Cool, whatever. But yeah, they're live. I think I thought it was only SolPerp that they were on. And the last I looked, there was like 40,000 SolPerp.
They launched a BTC a few hours ago.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, funding is negative. So it's maybe we need more market makers who are well capitalized and can arbitrage across exchanges, across the centralized exchanges. And also people can just do if the funding is negative, you can kind of do the go long perps and then short the asset itself. Yeah, so those are just some general updates. I don't know if anybody had, I just couldn't remember a lot of the things that happened in the last 2 weeks. If not, we can just move on to getting some presentations from broadly people who want to improve the management of the DAO treasury. And it's kind of, I would say the reason I wanted it to happen here and not just like in private conversations is because honestly, I think it's hard to evaluate all of these things. Like, is selling puts a good idea from the DAO treasury? I think it's complicated. And I wanted to have like a public forum, and then if people here could be critical of it, especially people who are members of the DAO, that would be helpful. I mean, critical, but also, praise, also try to think how we can extract as much money as possible for the DAO, et cetera, et cetera. All right, Udav, do you want to go first?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Udav, core team for Friction. I guess we can jump into the strategies, but at the end of it, the circuits program that we're about to launch, it's not strategy specific. It's more based on your risk tolerances. So the first thing we're doing with DAOs that we work with are understanding what risk parameters they want to use. So when we begin like our protocol risk analysis, we can input this. And then we're also familiar with Mango. So for some context, Friction has traded about like 80% of the Mango options that have touched chain in the last couple of weeks. We've had about 4 market makers participate, and then potentially try to have the Mango DAO as well participate if you guys are interested in buying out the money calls or anything of the such. Generally, we've traded lower vols than we would think, have realized what that means for people that kind of familiar with volatility, just like standard deviation of returns. That's implied for the week out. So we're trading weekly options through Friction. And then, yeah, I think we should just run through like some of the risk metrics that you guys would want us to use within circuits. So the first 2 volts are just like 2 of the strategies that you can allocate into circuits for, but working with a lot of like other people to get an idea of some of the other strategies, particularly more correlation-based ones, since obviously Mango token has some decent correlation to the rest of the market. So yeah, high level, circuits is a program where DAOs can kind of plug in treasuries to get on-demand portfolio management. These portfolio management strategies are built through the inductors. So if anyone's familiar with tokamak, inductors are like liquidity directors. We help do the risk management of the parameters that we set together as with your DAO and us. And then we build special vaults around it that give you access to the strategy. So yeah, I see some people saying no put, no option selling. That could make sense if you generally believe the vol for your asset is going down significantly over a short period of time. But I think we need to do a lot of analysis to figure out like how does spot MNGO look. I think you guys are like 90%, 95% native token, 5% USDC. So the first thing we do is like just figure out what the actual parameters are. So yeah, I guess where should I start on that? Do you guys want to just talk about like some risk parameters, or are you pretty comfortable with like the allocation that you have right now and you don't want to change how much you have in spot versus USDC?
So when I think Udav he gave me a form yesterday that was, oh, wow, I could just do the form, you know, I could kind of live stream the form, I guess. But
yeah, I
it
think
was
that'd be
basically
useful.
it was two choices, right? It was how much risk would you like to take on a 1 to 10, and how much ROI are you expecting on a 1 to 10? And I kind of made the point, I would like to take 0 risk and 10 ROI. But again, I think Udav has a correct response to that, which is you can do that. It'll just be rare opportunities. You know, if you think of like really high sharp strategies that kind of decay, you know, just go away. So yeah, I think I put down like 2 for each of them, or 2 or 3, like low risk and low reward is my personal view on this. And I don't know if you got, and like still the low risk and like the risk adjusted reward should be really good. And I think having a lot of like tail risk, outside events that just break everything, in my opinion, is not a great idea. But
yep. So I think good part of any portfolio is like the majority of it is not in these super long vol, high cash burn strategies. Majority of it sits in like super simple, like kind of cross exchange stable farming, or consistent like out of the money selling. So if you actually go to that doc, Daphne, maybe I can share my screen too.
Yeah, Nick, I think you have to enable others to share screen.
All right.
I think if you click on the share screen.
Yeah, I'm just, still says it's disabled. Oh, by the way, this is Alex, another core contributor to Friction.
Does it work now?
Yeah, there we go. Nice, thank you. Okay, but yeah, so yeah, we're gonna post this into the Friction UI soon, on app.friction.fi/circuits. But the main goal is just so like anyone can understand kind of like what we think Friction is supposed to do, and why our DAO is not like focusing on the risk reward, as you mentioned. So Daffy obviously wants to be like up here. So does everyone else. But as portfolio management theory has told us, no one really hits that spot for a long period of time because your alpha decay is And we can share this document with you guys. We'll be all like open soon. But maybe we can run through like some of the strategies that we've done so far that we're thinking about doing. So the next one coming up with vaults 2 and 4 is this volatility yield. So harvesting either term structure in the volatility curve or hedging IL through power perpetuals or some specific payoff perp. So yeah, one is that which protects from kind of the convexity of IL, and then the second one is just how do you consistently have some volatility exposure when the market falls like 30% and your treasury value is, yeah, let's say your treasury falls like 25%. You're like a 180 vol asset, which you probably don't want to be for a long time since it makes it hard to like generate working capital and stuff in multiple bear markets. So do you want to touch on anything else?
Coming up.
Oh shit. What the hell? See that? Do you guys see a giant red square?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're just doing some like analysis of who's using this stuff. We've looked at a bunch of Ethereum DAOs. Actually have some interest from them in like just managing their treasury on Solana, but then doing their actual work on Ethereum. And yeah, you can tell like most people are just overweight their native token. But then when you like talk to people about that, it seems like you're trying to be bearish, which we're not. We're not bearish to Mango token. We're just saying like there's a finite amount of, dude, what the heck is going on? Did you guys have the same issue?
Yeah. Yeah, we instead of the present, so there are actually a lot of good questions in the chat. We don't have that much time.
Yeah, let's just answer.
And also there's these blue and yellow, things on the screen.
Yeah, okay. Remove the share. Yeah. Yeah, that so that Uncommon Core article. So we got some thoughts from like Hasu about what we should be doing. So sorry, for some context, like me and Alex come from portfolio management and quant trading background. So like previous jobs before this was like doing this type of stuff, except for like a very specific risk reward for the institutions you're working with. And yeah, so that's the first answer to Uncommon Core stuff. Yeah, we have a ton of this is like inspired by Hasu's like application specific edges, which we can talk more about.
The programs, are they open source? And have people, yeah. How much of this is like pure program and how much of this is, trusting individuals?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the programs we're using right now are not open source right now. They're getting audited currently. So currently not open source, but open source ASAP. So as soon as audits are done, will be open source. And then in terms of the optimization, market-based optimization, it's a good question. So in terms of, I guess in terms of how like the separation between program and not program, like for example, like the actual optimizations, like weighting of assets wouldn't be in the program, imagine. So something like the actual execution and like all the assets would never leave the program. Or like at least they would wouldn't even leave like the control of the program. So it'd never be managed to be some like non-program managed wallet. But like the actual like portfolio analytics and calculations likely would be outside the program. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think that's kind of the separation would be.
Okay.
Mango tokens. What's channel RFQ?
What is channel? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. Channel RFQ basically just like execution system on Solana. So for like just basically you can just like quote 2 SPL tokens, ask for like a bid or offer between them. So it's pretty simple. That's pretty much all it is.
Yeah, I guess the reason we're using that is so in TradFi, basically when ETFs rebalance, which are just like large holders of certain single names in some weighting, they can't just do it all in the open market. Otherwise, like to have meaningful price impact. So they hold these like auctions, and these auctions are which like the top market makers kind of come and bid or offer for the specific asset. And channel basically does the same thing. So if familiar, like the Platts window for commodities, the US Treasuries auction. So I've done stuff with the Platts window. Alex was more familiar with the Treasuries auction, and then another Alex is super familiar with like the NYSE and NASDAQ closing pricers. So we just made like worked with them to make a blend of like all these things. Yeah.
Cool.
Not investor on the sell side.
No, yeah.
Answer that question.
Yeah. No sell side here. How can we pitch in DAO funds from Invest In? Yeah, I mean, I think like this is open to like any DAO. It's not like a gatekeeping thing. That's the question. We can totally work with Invest In as well to structure stuff, but we're like quite different in the sense where like we have, for example, when we were talking last, like Invest In has like these daily liquidity terms or some like just general like fund restrictions versus like circuits are just you work with like the inductors who are the portfolio managers in some sense and risk managers to create some specific like risk reward rather than to say like here's a pool if anyone can just like participate. Yeah. Skynet, just for the group chat.
Also investors. Some of the recommenders are investors, it's true. But there's more than a couple. There's probably like about 8 to 10 market makers that like come to our auctions. And what's up?
Yeah, I just want to ask so we can wrap it up somewhat quickly.
Yeah. Hi, Daffy. Anas here. So basically, last time when Max shared about the DAO treasury management stuff, we started looking into it, and we would like to pitch in our idea as well, if it's possible.
Yeah, sure. After I can, we can finish with section maybe, and then.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just have one more question. What? Just to like narrow, get the quick and dirty of this. So, I said something like a risk profile of 2 and a ROI of 2. What do you have an idea of what? Just a suggestion of what we might do? Like specifically, would we be selling puts from the DAO Treasury Vault? And then what kind of ROI do you think? Just so we can focus it on something concrete that people can listen, think about, and then we can move on.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Basically, like I think you can to break it down, you can think of it as like a mixture of 2 strategies. In terms of like 2, basically just you would change the weightings of like the basket strategies that we would like be actually utilizing. So I think that would basically if your risk of 2, probably overweighting things like stablecoin lending and like low risk yield farming, and then like underweighting things like selling puts, and then you probably have, and then every portfolio would have some like vol allocation, which would hedge like the beta exposure basically. So vol would be like essentially like hedges downside on some beta exposure, assuming like you want like long beta to like Sol and the entire ecosystem, etc. So I think basically you think of it as just like underweighting the more risky things, overweighting the less risky things in that respect. So I think that's the easiest way to think about like how you adjust the risk scale. And there's like a few more complicated.
But it would kind of do everything anyway, but it would just underweight some things and overweight other things.
Yeah, it doesn't have to, but I think that's like the most intuitive way to think about it.
Okay.
Because if you can accomplish that risk, essentially, like if you underweight things enough, you're always going to get to a certain risk level. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we could move on. Let's go in the order we had, which is so the next one is Traders Guild. Also, I think maybe it's even maybe people give we could do it this way. Just a suggestion. So we could ask clarifying questions for each of the people here, and at the end we can kind of like debate the treasury management concept as a whole, because I think it's pretty important. You could think of it as losing, there's just USD in the vault and it's losing money. So we can debate like that on a high level, and then when people are speaking, we can ask clarifying questions. So Traders Guild, are you guys here?
Hey, yeah. I'm here with another co-founder, Brandon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're Traders Guild, just a community of quants and rest of all.
Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is that an NFT in your picture by any chance?
It is.
Okay, I'm just wondering, how much is it worth right now?
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah,
Maximilian.
Let's try
your picture, by the way.
Let's try not to. Yeah, let's try not to interrupt. I don't know. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So Wood Forest Gold is a community of traders and developers. So we came up with one of our first, I guess, challenges was how to provision liquidity to our member DAOs. And so we came up with the concept of the RFQ as a primitive within the DAO itself, just to allow DAOs to do over-the-counter transactions directly to market makers or other DAOs as well. So it's just a common API interface on-chain that allows for transactions across DAOs. So one of our main features is buying and selling through multiple tokens, I guess, that the DAO has possesses, both around lending. And also we're integrating with setter markets, so it may be possible for DAOs to I guess buy puts and calls to protect themselves, I guess, or their treasury or value at risk on their treasuries. So yeah, that's it. That's how we are in a nutshell.
So what do you imagine the Mango DAO would use your product for?
Well, let's say if Mango's interested in uploading a large quantity of mango or a block order and wants to create an auction for it across our network of market makers, they will have that possibility at hand instead of burning, I guess, the tokens for any other purpose. So if, for example, the Mango DAO also decides to borrow money, I guess, without interacting for an exchange, they will be able to do so. And again, our product is mostly focused on big notionals and block orders, just because big orders pretty much us adapting the value of the token, or it can be fraud run and in many dexes. So we pretty much mitigate that through over-the-counter transactions.
So okay, cool. So if like the Mango DAO wanted to just buy some, instead of having all its cash and all its wealth in USDC, maybe it buys Bitcoin or Solana.
Of course.
You have like an on-chain program that can be hooked into it, and then USDC can be swapped for BTC.
Yes, that is correct. We're currently participating in the Convergence Hackathon. We're currently reaching the DevNet stage. Actually, we're on DevNet already, but we'll have a shareable demo by next week or this Monday. So we'd love some feedback on that. We'll also be submitting, I guess, the first set of instructions for the SPL governance. We'll be submitting the first set of instructions, I guess, to start for basic, I guess, instructions on buying and selling treasury tokens, or and preceded by borrow and lending.
Cool. Yeah, so I guess you guys have a smaller scope than what the Friction guys were going for. How is yours different than channel RFQ? What would you say are like the main differences?
We're more.
Maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't know much about channel RFQ.
Yeah, I will need more. I will need to do more research on what features the channel RFQ allows. For now, I guess our auction process will be similar, but we are just offering a couple of more, I guess, services such as token swaps, predetermined prices with market makers, and also borrow and lending. So those will be probably our most or the additional core features. But yeah, I will need to understand a little bit more about what the channel RFQ offers to answer your question.
Cool. Yeah, so I think that was short and sweet. I think we could probably move on to Katana. And
I didn't get a message from Ayush. I'm not sure he's on.
Maybe, yeah, maybe he was expecting the 11 o'clock or the earlier UTC time, 4 p.m. I don't know. Cool.
Yeah, I didn't hear from him all day, so I don't know. Maybe it's
so
just...
we could swap in then invest in, because I mean, I didn't know they had some DAO treasury management ideas as well, but we could just swap them in instead if you guys want to go.
Yeah. Hey everyone. It's Zohaib. Yeah. So the DAO funds concept is similar to having a channel RFQ, where I mean having a DAO tooling built for the DAO, Mango DAO, would work out. The DAO can vote on lending tokens to Solana or any other protocol out there for stable yields, but that would take time, and DAO tooling isn't pretty clean as well. So what happens is, if you have a tooling system for the DAO, you can put in the lend instruction, and then the DAO can vote over it, and over time you have the treasury being lent out to protocols or utilized in a way which kind of meets the requirement at the moment. So having an invest in DAO fund do the same for the DAO just adds this layer of security. So it's still the Mango DAO token holders and then voting, which is kind of controlling the token flow to any other protocol for lending, or as Daffy said, just swapping to tokens using Radium, Orca, or Jupiter, for instance. And all of this is routed through the DAO, voting on a proposal, and then that being executed. Now, having this can be done through the DAO's own kind of interface as well, if you have the right tooling. But adding a fund just kind of makes sure that there is no malicious transactions or other stuff included in the proposal, which kind of might slip in if there's not due diligence involved while listing the proposal. And as such, this kind of open up the possibility of having a council of members, or just one person acting as a manager and handling the DAO treasury, just as an asset management kind of service. And that can be any traders or a council of traders for that instance. And this kind of architecture kind of open up the possibilities for a lot of kind of integrations, and it's just kind of an extension of having a channel RFQ and other things kind of queued in. So that's kind of it from our side. And
basically, as we saw that the SPL governance token, through which you can basically put in it's a PDA, right? So you can just put in an instruction and call on the investment fund. So basically, the interface you have for the DAO right now, through that you can basically control an investment fund and lend on. Like, we have been working on ongoing integrations with Solana, Tulip, and Francium, and as well I've been reaching out to Udav for the SDK to get on friction into the fund as well. So you'll have one fund that gives you an access to lending on multiple protocols, and swapping, and also having an option to put on some money on friction as well, be it like 5% of the amount as well. But you'll have one central point from where MNGO holders can basically pass on instructions to the fund, and they can just do all the fund allocations on behalf of on the instruction of the MNGO holders. So we are in process of completing the integration with Solana and Tulip on the fund. So, and as well, we have Mango right now as well. So you'd be able to lend on your Mango protocol as well with that.
Interesting. So I guess what you guys are offering here is you would build the tooling so that the Mango DAO can control and invest in fund. Either directly or delegated through to a Mango Council.
That's why we have the option of just a tooling system. You don't even need to have a investment fund as such. Just DAO tooling, which can help the DAO to kind of get instructions required to lend and other stuff, and then just do it on their own behalf. Having a fund just kind of makes sure that you're kind of grounded on that.
That's what I was confused by. Are you offering DAO tooling so that the DAO naturally holds money in a Solend directly holds money in Solana and Tulip and whatever, or are you offering tooling so that it just connects with Investin? Because I think those are different, because Investin, if you connect directly with Investin, there are, there's like that withdrawal fee and other stuff, and but it's probably easier for you guys to build and so on. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's where we kind of have these two options. DAO tooling just kind of promotes DAO to control their own money wherever they like. Having it invest in funds as the adds up the possibility of assigning a delegate manager or a council of managers, and that's just it. So a DAO tooling is the main aim, and then tooling extended to invest in funds is like an add-on to it.
Nice.
And like we recently removed all the fees. There is no fees as of such right now. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there is no fees right now.
Yeah, there is no fee right now.
Yeah. Cool. And I assume, like, if you guys are just building the DAO tooling, there would be some kind of grant or something like that that we'd work out. Is that from, so the DAO would pay for?
Yeah, so basically we're stuck in between two ideas right now, because like there is an option to build a DAO tooling as well, and there is an option that you can put in a fund and like let the MNG holders manage the fund as well. So there are two options in this, and we know that it is probably very efficient to go with the DAO tooling part as well, but having a fund also makes a bit different like theme to how the DAO is using the treasury as well. So we were a bit of like in between of that question, and just hopped on in here just to understand like what would be the best way to go from here on that.
Yeah. Does anyone have any clarifying questions about this, or do you guys know what Investin is, all that stuff? Yeah, I think most of the people who are going to give good commentary know what Investin is. So yeah, okay. So I think we could probably, that's good enough now. Anybody have, like philosophical objections? So basically I hear a lot of objections of the sort, this should be like just safe cash. Like Henry saying, it's actually a strength for Mango that the treasury is in cash and it's safe. And then other people saying, never sell puts, or never sell vol, which I'm not sure I would agree with, but if I would, my view is don't sell vol unless you know why you're getting, you really know why you're selling the vol. If it's really high and you know why it's really high and why that doesn't matter for you. So something like that. That's a complex, maybe you can just boil it down to never sell vol. So Onion Future says, if I want to sell vol, I will sell it myself. But if you sell it yourself, then, okay. So maybe I don't know, you guys can chime in here. Like, what's the principle for the Mango DAO that we care about? We want the money to be there to bail out people if there's a big protocol hack, also to pay for lots of things like improvements to the protocol. And so, yeah, ensure the longevity of Mango.
Is there some like working capital target that you guys have?
Like capital that we want for this quarter? Something, is that what you mean by working capital?
Yeah.
No, and like, but the thing is, putting some things in, yeah, because I don't think we can have one, because I think it's like used very infrequently. And then we also imagine sometimes there might be some like big drawdown where, let's say, the whole protocol is hacked or something like that. And you need to pay out like everything.
Yeah.
So there isn't really like a working capital idea.
So is the model here also to do like individual based decision making for this, or like is there going to be like a delegate model that Compound or any like other more like DAOs are using? I'm just curious why you guys chose.
So far, the thing is like we don't have. So the model that we're using is specific groups of people can come on and say, okay, we're going to provide this service as a company. Please delegate like $1 million to us. So I did that with Mango Labs. We're going to do it with probably more companies as they come on. Looking into Green Mamba, whatever. So that's the model. So you can certainly have another group, say not Mango Labs but Mango Treasury Manager, and you delegate to the Treasury Manager, and they have to return the funds. Yeah, in a transparent way, like what's happening.
And sorry, just to chime in very briefly.
Yeah.
My name is Brian Smith. Sorry, I've been a little quiet. The different dev time kind of through a wrinkle in my schedule, so I'm not in front of my computer. But I did want to like introduce myself. I've been around for a while. Probably met a lot of you in Lisbon. But I was talking to Max on the forums that some of you may have seen back and forth over the last week or two about kind of. I think it makes sense. Like these pitches and this discussion have all been like very helpful, but like a little ad hoc, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I guess my vision and like what I've been working on for the last like week or so is like more of a kind of like analytical, like kind of like robust and institutional style like thought process around like what is the objective, like as the kind of the chat has been talking back and forth, like what is the objective of our treasury fund, like what is like the whole point that we have it, given that objective in mind, like what are the strategies that make sense and kind of that. And so I think I don't know, I mean, I think this is definitely a process. I would definitely, like from my perspective, I would encourage all of the protocols that did an objective good job of like pitching their service on this call to like post on that forum and or reach out to me, and so that I can aggregate kind of all of your services and kind of put that in the report to say like, here's effectively a Chinese style menu. Like, here are all the options. Here are the objective pros and cons of various options. Like from a start, it would be like, kind of what the Treasury working group that, I'm leading, but is open to everyone, thinks are the best options. And then that should be posted, on the Mango DAO forum in the next week or so. And then once we have kind of all of that laid out, then I think we can have separate forums to kind of discuss the pros and cons of each initiative and how that feels like the community's, values align with the Treasury and those sort of things. And so I think like that might be a more efficient way to move, expedite this process and really get the DAO allocated in a thoughtful way. Hopefully, in the next month or two, so we can start kind of earning the return that we believe is right for, our substantial assets.
Yeah, that sounds like a good streamlined way to do this, to do these things. Yeah, and Brian taking the lead on that sounds pretty good to me. Yeah, and like people, I agree. This has been sort of ad hoc, partially because I'm trying to humor everyone. I'm like, all right, you guys can. I guess we're all trying to, if this was my personal balances, I'd be like, no, I'm not interested. I'll just put all my money in Mango, earn whatever the current yield is. But with the Mango DAO, I just, I know there's some technical hurdles that we have to go through to get all this, money even deployed, and interest rates are like 0.2% or something. So it hasn't seemed super high priority. But yeah, if you're taking the lead on it, and yeah.
I think it makes sense just to have like a centralized point of contact, and everyone can post on the forum, and like everything is going to be like public in discussion. Like obviously, like I'm not trying to like take over the Treasury or anything, but I think like it's just like, you guys have a lot on your plate, and so I thought that it made sense to kind of decentralize as a separate process to like put this together and start, because I mean going forward as Mango becomes the FTX of DeFi, like this is going to be like a core process that we should have like a framework set up versus just like what kind of protocols show up to like the bi-weekly video call.
Sure. Sounds good.
Yeah, there's something we'd be pretty keen on working on with. So we're currently doing this a couple protocols and just like making this risk framework. I don't know if you currently do this like in the Discord or forums, or like how you break down like portfolio composition, Brian. But yeah, it'd be pretty cool to share some of the stuff in terms of hedging that we've been working on so far. Whatever.
Yeah. Is that forum like created, or do you want to create like a Discord channel for it, or what's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, we have the forum on the DAO post, but I think also a Discord channel makes sense just for more casual, because, you know, there's a lot of reluctance, I think, by people to kind of post long form thoughts on
for sure.
discourse. And so a Discord channel to have people, you know, more frequent updates probably makes sense.
Yeah. Amen. That sounds good.
That'd be.
Yeah. Sorry, was someone saying something? Cool. I think we can probably move on then to. All right, hold on. There's this hackathon thing that we're talking about. Max, do you want to talk about it before we talk about the
video? Yeah, I think so. It's so just like two topics there. There will be a new hackathon. We basically, it's the Solana hackathon, so not to be confused with the Serum one. That we couldn't sponsor prizes in, so didn't end up participating. So the Solana hackathon will probably start or get announced in a few days. We've been trying to gather a lot of input. Once, right, like maybe closing the Treasury topic here, if we decide to allocate capital into another protocol, we'll need the technical means to do so. In general, there are a bunch of investment DAOs already, also using the same tools as Mango DAO. So there's like let's say, but there currently is no way to really get the money out of the Treasury unless you want to send it to like private key managed by a user and then deploy it in the protocol and send it back with the returns, which is kind of not good. So direct integration of all the protocols is, I think, feasible. I know that some people have already started working in Mango or Solana or other things. I think Ponzi Labs, who was here last week, they also started integrating already. So the idea here is that the governance UI allows different DAOs to allocate capital. I think it would be a bit more like a direct vote on, hey, let's put a few $1 million in this lending protocol, something like that, right? For this kind of use case, they're very easy. Can think about Gnosis Safe maybe as a reference also. And so because in Mango, the problem always was, we gave out a price if someone would integrate depositing in a Mango account with the governance during the Hacker House in Lisbon. And I think no one worked on it, or no one finished it, at least, as far as I know. And so this idea was maybe it needs a bit more time than a week. The next hackathon is 4 weeks, so should hopefully be enough time to finish that. And then I thought maybe other protocols probably want to do the same thing, sponsor a prize for them being integrated in this tool. So here we go. I got a lot of positive feedback from Udav, Uwe, Anas also. So happy I proposed it, and there's a we'll probably activity will pick up next week. As Solana is kind of coming out of their shell and concretizing their outreach with regards to the hackathon. I simply don't know what the next steps are, and we just need to wait for them. But they said they're going to announce something on the 2nd of February. So I don't know, probably on Monday we'll hear a lot about from them. They had an internal team offsite, so they were a little bit silent the last week, but expected to start picking up on Monday. So that's the governance track. So basically the governance track is dedicated to governance and DAO tooling on Solana. And yeah, we expect like a lot of coders coming online again as during the last hackathons. So that track, I think we'll probably want to sponsor a small contribution for whoever does the Mango and governance UI integration, and hopefully we can convince whoever does that also to continue contributing. So I think of it more as like a hiring thing. And then there's the DeFi track, which is, I think, yeah, bigger topic. Microwave Cola was so kind to organize everything there. Maybe do you want to give an overview of like your plans for the hackathon and introduce that?
Yeah, sure. So we have, I think what we did like a bunch of weeks ago is that we collected a lot of ideas from the community, right? On what people could build like on top of Mango. So we have like these 6-7 ideas collected, but of course, these are not the only ideas people could work on. They could do various other things which they find interesting. And so I'll share this document of these ideas soon. And we had like, I think for the last hackathon, Mango had some, how would you say, prizes awarded. And probably there would be similar prizes awarded this time, depending on the governance going in. And yeah, so I've also created this example anchor project, I think, which we already talked about, which people could look at. And yeah, so other than this, yeah, whoever who is interested in participating in the hackathon, of course, he can always drop by onto Discord, discuss these ideas further, also show some initial code, get feedback on it, all kinds of things. Yeah. So
sounds good.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What did we think the prizes were going to be? What were they last time? I forgot.
I think last time we had like, I think 40,000 USDC, then 30,000, and then 15,000 or something, right? For the first three people. Yeah, the governance.
It was like 100K in total.
Exactly, yeah. Somewhere around that. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we could have a sort of another discussion about it when we know the dates and all that stuff.
Means apart from the hackathon, I think people could always work on these ideas, right? And I think if they make a good prototype, right, then, or if we see that it's really potentially working, then of course the governance would always grant people something.
Of course. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Just have to make that public, I guess.
We should probably also see like how we make the example you built. I forgot the name. Sorry.
Yeah, actually, by the way, so I don't know if anybody knows here, but Dasheri is like a Mango variant. I don't know how many people care about it. Yeah, but it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, people should look at the Anchor project. It has like, I would say like some basic prototyping code, and there are a lot of to-dos like to flesh it out into larger ideas, right? And the test setup, in my opinion, is like quite comprehensive with like Mango and Serum. But of course, like we could fix it or extend it even more for more custom needs if people need it. I think the problem, usually people always mention that, oh, Mango has like so much complex setup. Like, how would I test this locally, right? And our usual suggestion used to be always like, okay, you could just use like DevNet click testing. And yeah, but hopefully like with integration tests, it would be a bit faster for people to prototype on it.
Yep.
I saw you have a test suite, right? So you can actually test everything locally.
Almost everything, yeah. You can set up, means it's actually like copied a bit from the Mango V3 integration test we have and then extended a bit so that you can do like all kinds of CPI and everything.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that will be super helpful. I mean, we got this feedback a few times from everyone integrating, and some people actually didn't integrate because we didn't have a good example for them. There seems to be just some like adoption barriers for people who use to Anchor and nothing else. And so I think, yeah, we probably should go through the address book and like send this out to everyone that was waiting.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'll reach out to you about that.
Cool. So we can move on to V4. We're good. Yeah, I mean, so we've been talking about this for a while, and I think we're finally going to get started. But I wanted to get some ideas from people about what V4 should, what should be the theme or something that you kind of focus on. So to give you an idea of, I didn't have any kind of theme when building Mango V1 or V2 or V3, or at least not explicitly, but I certainly had something that was super exciting, something that was building that, that we were building towards. And I think with the first one, it was just borrowing, actually margin trading that's done properly on chain. So there weren't really any margin trading solutions, even on Ethereum, that, there was no limit orders because there was no order book on chain. So this was kind of like the main idea, you could say, or the theme. And then for V3, it was like this, collateralize everything, or the kind of super app idea. And it was very exciting to build it. That was like a theme, because it was also not done, definitely not done on chain. Maybe, an FTX is like basically what exists on the centralized world. Most centralized exchanges also don't let you collateralize everything and trade everything at the same time. So that was very exciting. And it was also exciting that a lot of people doubted whether it was possible. There was going to be a lot of technical challenges we would have to overcome, but that seemed, like we could overcome it. I remember there was in April, I think, I was on the podcast with Swapman in his the Whalepool podcast. And we were talking about, I think maybe Mr. Swapman was a little bit skeptical about whether the whole deal was possible. And so that was motivating, right? Okay, so those were the themes. Now, in the themes for Mango V4, I'm sort of struggling because, the natural thing to do is to say, support more products. Say, people want term futures, people want, maybe they want fixed interest rates, maybe they want, of course, people want options, maybe everlastings, maybe power perps. We could build something that supports all of those things. Actually, pretty confident we could build it. So that's like the natural progression, right? Like of how you kind of go from a primitive thing like Mango V1 to a fully fledged thing like V3, and an even more fully fledged thing like V4. But I was thinking about it, and I had maybe another idea where maybe the theme this time could be, instead of going all in for more products, these are not necessarily even mutually exclusive, but instead of going for new products, you might maybe go for usability, where you look around in DeFi, you look at all the other products that are around, you look at even on Solana, all the products that are around. And there's a pretty big gap between from the time that I show a friend the app or I tell them about it, to the time that they can actually deposit money and start earning interest. And if we can close that gap, just like, I'm sure in the funnel of users, we lose a lot of people just because that time between when they hear about something and the difficulty to actually start earning some money or start using the product is so large. So large because they have to, if they don't have any crypto, they have to, get an FTX US account. They have to be KYC'd. All of that FTX has made quite quick and and fast, you know, FTX or FTX US, the ones that really support SPL standard. But still, there's that barrier, and then there's no mobile app, and there's, you know, you can use Mango on mobile, and I think Phantom's coming out with a wallet. I think Soulflare already has a wallet. I'm not sure we have spent a lot of time testing it. So there's just a lot of things in terms of usability where, like, you know, you show somebody the app, you tell someone about Mango at the bar, and they should be able to like start trading immediately. Is that possible? I don't know, but maybe, I mean, certainly if we think really hard, I think we can make it possible. Okay, so those are kind of like the two broad ideas. And of course, even on usability, there's, I mean, everyone has talked about how like the code, it's like written in vanilla, you know, Solana vanilla. It's a lot of people only understand Anchor nowadays, like Microwave Cola was saying. There's just a lot of like pain points, and how when you integrate, you have to worry about this IDs.json thing, and then every time it gets upgraded, everyone has to fix it. Logging, you know, is really hard. Gathering statistics is really hard. There's just so many usability things on the dev front that we can and will fix. But that'll be fixed, you know, whichever direction we go. Like that has to be fixed. But yeah, do we like focus our attention and say, you know, more finance, more speculation, or you know, focus your efforts on usability? I don't know, any thoughts? I mean, it's always easy to just do everything, right? You don't have to make any decisions.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between developer user experience and customer user experience in terms of focuses.
Yeah, developer user experience is something the thing is, like, there's a lot of things we didn't know, and you simply just don't know that logging I didn't even know you could log with low compute. And so that's why we didn't have good log. And then also Clark Kenny didn't know a lot of the logs we had were going to be really hard to extract information from and process and deal with. So like stuff like that, we just didn't know it before, and now we know it. So it'll just be fixed. And you know, we have, I would say, a more professional squad of developers. We've all gained more experience as well. So a lot of the documentation and release schedule stuff, all that stuff is going to be better. That's going to be better regardless, I would say. I don't know if, yeah, I don't think we'll intentionally write, you know, difficult code this time.
It does sound like you want to do, you know, the Mango sequel. So I know this is like going to be version 4, but really what it is like Mango v3 was like, you did perps, you know, the lending protocol is like pretty well integrated by now, the margin trading. And now this is like the sequel where you do everything exactly the same, but you just do it like 10 times better, you know, more Flash, Terminator 2 style.
What was that? Flash Tornado?
More flashy, as in, like, you know, like you said, it's the same thing as V3 more or less function wise, but like you said, the developer experience is going to be better, the user experience is better, rather than like trying to focus on something different, right? Rather than trying to branch off and do options, it's like, let's just do the same as what we've got, but we're just going to like optimize it with all the stuff that we now know that we didn't know when writing V3 initially.
Yes, kind of. I mean, I'm asking, like, there is 2 paths to go with this. That's one path that you're describing. I think the point I'm making is, like, all the developer pain point stuff will be fixed whichever path we go. Doesn't matter if we try to build options or whatever. It's gonna require re-architecting. And in that re-architecting process, we'll just make sure that the code is good. Obviously, like, because now we know better is more the answer. But I think you're describing like theme 1, which is not a huge focus on new products, but making the current existing products like really, really good. You know, you could say even under usability, it's instead of having, if you try to build power perps and maybe term futures and all of these other things, maybe the liquidity gets fragmented and the liquidity is all right. Maybe it's so-so, kind of like, you know, where the liquidity is on Mango right now. Or you could just focus all the firepower on the, you know, the main perp markets that already exist and make it really, really, truly competitive with FTX or Binance. And that would be usability, because honestly, like I can't use Mango right now because, you know, I would just be trading with myself a lot of times. So, you know, you'd have to get a bunch of other market makers so I could use it. Stuff like that. Yeah, we also have, you know, a lot of, there's this time around, there are more projects that are trying to do what we are doing. You know, if you looked at back last May or April when we started Mango V3, I think it was May. There weren't really, nobody was doing, you know, okay, there was someone, you know, we were hearing rumors that, okay, Bonfita is doing perps and whatever. So there was, you know, we knew others were doing perps, but it definitely appeared to us there was no one doing exactly what we're doing. But now I think that's sort of changed. If you look at 01, they are, I mean, they just launched a couple of days ago. They are definitely attempting to do a lot of the things that Mango is doing. So, you know, and yeah, the environment's a little bit different now. So if we add options, I mean, there's Zeta doing options, there's Psi options doing options. Maybe the distinguishing factor is, okay, it's on Mango, so you don't have to leave, you never have to leave Mango UI. You never have to split your collateral, which is kind of nice.
And would you still be excited about building Mango markets and stuff if you were just going to, because it does sound like, I mean, okay, I mean, it's just my personal opinion that it does sound like, you know, improving the existing product is the better direction. But obviously there is like the second option, which is to branch off and, you know, increase the number of products. But would you personally still be excited even if it was just like the same product, just done better?
Yeah, actually, because, well, I mean, personally, I'm kind of curious on taking on this other kind of challenge, which is a more social, maybe not social. There's like a little bit less focus on code, but more focus on, I don't know. I think it all boils down to code probably, but you know, less focus on financial engineering, but more focus on making the user experience like rock solid. To the point, there are a lot of optimizations we can do, even on the UI, to make it really like feel, you know, take it from a feeling like it's maybe there's a lag when you open a page, maybe there's a lag of like 2 seconds. You might be able to bring it down to like 200 milliseconds. Just things like that that just make you feel good. But it's, of course, it's like, why haven't you done it yet? Probably we just don't have the manpower because we were focusing on a lot of other things.
Well, and there's a lot of things changing in the Solana runtime in the next few months. Like with 1.9, I think 1.9 has all of the main new things, right? Yeah. In terms of like more efficient accounts and obviously whatever they're doing to fix the transaction issue.
Yeah, it's kind of uncertain when 1.9 will come out. We have actually been waiting for 1.9 since last May, actually. And luckily we decided that it was not a good idea to wait for it, rather just go forward with the current architecture. So now we're presented with the same decision. Starting V4 as we were presented with in V3, like how much should you wait for 1.9? Yeah, I mean, I can imagine 1.9 doesn't come out for like several months. I mean, I think necessarily it doesn't come out for several months, actually. I'm like pretty sure it won't come out for at least a month, probably like 2 months. Yeah. But yeah, we have to have it. Like, I don't think we do V4 if we don't have 1.9. We have to have it at least on testnet, you know, to like build and test with it. And then we'll just pressure Anatoly to put it on mainnet. That'll be that. Actually, it might be on testnet already. Actually, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah,
but
I think 1.9.5 is on testnet.
Yeah, but is our address maps and, you know, reallocating accounts, all that stuff still in there? Or is it already in there? I don't know. We could test it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not getting much feedback on this. Maybe we just have to do both, huh? Maybe like we just have to. Like one thing I was thinking of was we can engineer for every type of market and say we could engineer for. This goes super abstract. I've often been burned by doing this in the past by going abstract. But you can go abstract and you can say, okay, Mango will support like all of these markets, and as long as it has some kind of payoff function or some kind of funding mechanism, you know, power perps are like they just have a different funding mechanism than the regular perps, different function that's used on the funding. Similarly for everlasting options. So you can go abstract and you can support all of these features, but you don't necessarily, you don't build all the tooling to have it functional in the user interface and all that stuff. And you know, it has to be there. You have to build tooling in the DAO so it can be added as a market. But it's just there in case we decide, or when we decide to launch them. And that would allow us to kind of not think about, okay, who's going to market make on this? You can just postpone that for later and say, when we want to add these markets, then we figure out like who's going to market make it. How's liquidity going to look? All right.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest issue we have often is like some of these like centralized exchange features that we want to support are just like very much out of scope for the current Solana runtime. Right? Maybe there are some of those things we currently run off chain could even work on chain if we do them well. Given that we have now accounts that can increase in size.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like probably like we're looking at what people really like to use and see what 1.9 can help with that is probably a strong direction. I feel less like excited by having like very abstract architecture to support all types of perpetuals and options and what have you. And I feel there is a very strong need for perpetual futures exchange that has like solid funding rates, right? And not like what we're right now seeing where the funding rate is just all over the place, and sometimes you leverage trade on like negative 180 APR and you're just like, that's cool, but sometimes you want to enter position and just look at it and like 300% APR, I'm not going to pay that, right? So it's like the funding rate is so out of range right now, right? Which is I think a reflection to some extent of our funding rate mechanism, but also to the general use of the platform. So adding another like hard to bring in line product like I don't know, right? Squared perpetual.
Yeah, it's
just gonna be even worse, right? Like I mean, funding rate is gonna like kill you there.
It reflects the liquidity and like how well capitalized the market makers are.
Yeah. It's not gonna, it's not gonna be better on niche products. So I feel we have we just need to onboard more people, and to some extent we want to do that in the next 3 months, right? Very aggressively. But I'm not sure that those people will be able to provide liquidity on these more esoteric things. Right? Like it's already like really hard to make people trade a perpetual future. Like shouldn't underestimate at least on Solana, right? Shouldn't underestimate the amount of selling we have to do to get them there. So I feel there's like wouldn't maybe in half a year or something like that, it's a good moment to consider these, but that could even be V5. Like, like I don't.
Yeah, I guess maybe I was thinking we haven't really gotten into the weeds of the design yet, so it's hard to say. But like right now, we could add a market that we could add like the Apple perp or the NASDAQ perp. We could add it, and it's just we didn't disallow it based on our design. So similarly, you could have something. We could just be maybe a little bit more careful so that we have carve-outs for later if we wanted to add options. So let me, if you guys go to the agenda, actually, let me just copy this over to the chat. So I listed like 5 items here, which is like, oh, I'm not even looking at the chat. You guys are typing in the chat and I'm not even paying attention. Okay. You guys should just speak up. Like there's only like 40 people here. Probably less, probably like 30. Okay, let me look at some of the chat messages that wow, you guys said a lot of things.
Daffy, is it?
Yeah.
Is it possible to match or create a perp position between 2 wallets outside of the central limit order book? Like if I wanted to long 20,000 Sol perp and you wanted to short it and we just agreed at $100 right now, could we match that through a smart contract somehow? Or it has to go through the central limit book?
I wanted to go through the central limit book. So we get the DAO fees. Now, yeah, we could, when you say, is it possible, do you mean like, does a tool already exist? Or do you mean,
more, I
we
mean, would
easily
it be
create one?
possible for someone to extend Mango if they wanted to also offer another way to enter perp positions?
Do you mean over the counter transactions for bigger orders even?
Yeah, I mean, let's just say that you know, we wanted to do like offer over the counter. You know, somebody could comment, somebody that could put up a bid and ask for the Sol perp right now. Could somebody write that smart contract and could those execute?
I mean, the convergence was done exactly for this kind of issues, right? I mean, you can, it's ideal you should just big notional numbers, but I guess you can also do like microtransactions over the counter some way.
So in Mango, I think part of what Brian's asking, like, could you use like the Mango collateralization stuff? And I can think of a solution where, so okay, maybe, you know, I take a transaction. Okay, it doesn't exist. It's not possible right now. We can add an instruction that's like, you know, off-chain trade or something. And what it is both Mango accounts send, you know, the owners of both Mango accounts sign the transaction, and they both like agree to a price and a quantity, and then you call this instruction, you send it in, and yeah, it just, you know, puts 1,000 Sol perp on your book, and then minus 1,000 Sol perp on the other guy's book. Not on his book, sorry, on his Mango account. So it is possible. I think you would probably need the tooling to make that deal though. Something so you can send your signed transaction and then he can like decode it with your pub key. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, got it. Sorry, that was a little off topic.
Actually, you don't even need. Well, if you're okay with, actually, I remember Anatoly made something like this where you create like a PDA, and you know, you call the Mango program, it'll create a PDA, and the seeds of the PDA is like your parameters of the trade. So you would say like Sol perp would be like one parameter, one seed, and then price and quantity. And then now the thing is, it doesn't go on any book, but someone else could call that function with that PDA and say basically that they're accepting it. And it's, you know, the details of all that stuff is embedded in, you know, the seeds of the PDA. And I totally wrote this up basically, but it's not OTC in the sense, it's not like an OTC trade where you know the counterparty, it's just anybody can accept it. And it's not ordered like on a book. So that's,
yeah, gotcha.
I don't know if that, I don't know if you remember 0x was a thing that people used to trade on like Ethereum using that, kind of like that. 0x protocol. So there were lots of points here made. Power perps would be awesome, says Anas. Henry says low transactions, low compute costs. Build your own leveraged market neutral portfolio. Cool. Lowering the barrier. We need an app that connects to DeFi. Yeah, only pick. Deborah says usability is more important than finance products. Yeah, Anchor would be good except it's high on compute. I was gonna ask Microwave Cola because we have a thread of like Anchor pros and cons. Like what exactly is the compute cost increase?
No idea. I never looked at it. Yeah.
We could always do like a super custom anchor.
It would be super easy to measure it. Like you just run a couple of tests and you would see it, I guess.
Yeah.
Means you can just also expand all the anchor code and you can see how much more they do, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember.
I hope we don't have to worry about these things in the future. Right?
But I remember Armani was. I know he like once asked this question, like, how do you do this iteration? Or it was basically like, how do you take this vector of bytes and then put it into these slice of bytes? Weird like type transformation thing in Rust. And I gave him my solution and he was like, oh yeah, cool. And then I was like, but this is probably doing a lot of for loops and iterations that are unnecessary and wasteful. And he's like, nah, I don't really care. So he was like, I'm sure the compiler will fix it. And I don't think the compiler will necessarily fix a lot of these things. So I wonder, I'm sure it's mostly, I'm sure the compiler does fix most things. And yeah. And compute usage is like pretty fine for Anchor programs. It's not terrible. As long as you're using zero copy, I think. Less speculation, more nudging of users into the right responsible behavior. Yeah, I think the thing is, like in DeFi, there's a lot of speculators, and speculators are good. Like they provide a valuable service, right? Like a lot of the liquidity comes from speculators going back and forth. And those guys are just not they're not going to be interested in like 2% yield or whatever. So, and I feel like in DeFi, we're all just going back and forth trying to grab the speculator class of people. And admittedly, they're large. There's a lot of speculators, but there's also like 100 DeFi apps now and all the centralized exchanges. And they're all like competing for the speculator crowd. So yeah, while Bank of America sits there paying like nothing for their USD deposits. So maybe we cut into Bank of America's share. Something about Aleph.indexing. Honestly, we thought about this, but there's a lot of things you can't do just from on-chain data, and just state transitions. So if you want like historic data, right? Looking just at state transitions is hard, and that's what you get when you do just pure on-chain indexing. The log, what we do, like in Mango right now, we do Mango logs. Those provide you a lot more information than just state transitions. You know, they kind of give you information about what happened. So I think we're probably going to stick with the logs idea for a while, at least in this next iteration. Yeah, Brian says we need to solve the market making problem. Expand to more coins and products. Oh, one thing we definitely will have in V4 is, and this is going to be tough, like for Tyler and Sam to figure out like, how to make this happen, how to make this work. But like, you should be able to place a margin trade with any of the dexes that are on Solana. You can't place like a limit or an orca, for example, and that's fine. But you should be able to trade on any of them as long as both the token that you start with and the token that you end with both are in Mango or supported in Mango. So you could have like kind of like how Jupiter routes through several intermediate markets, as long as what you started with and ended with are in Mango. It should be fine. And then obviously we would want something like Jupiter to to route, maybe, maybe we build it in-house or we partner with Jupyter to build it for us. And then the UX. Right now it's very simple because it's just Serum, right? But in the new schema, when you place a trade, you could go just to Serum, or you could maybe have a swap interface that will do what Jupyter's doing, but also give you leverage. And also give you best execution. So that's one way to expand to more coins. Also, yeah, like expanding to more coins. We'll get that with address maps. But the question still is like, probably the hardest thing to think about there is we have all the risk pooled in one place. And so that necessarily makes every time we add a coin like this big, you have to evaluate the security of that coin and how, are they gonna rug us? Like, what if the wormhole thing fails? What's the security profile of that? Because the risk is shared across everything else. The whole protocol is risk the whole time. So Mango Slice is kind of a solution. And I think the only real missing piece with Mango Slice is the mark price. We just need to, and I think we could probably figure this out like in a week. Need to figure out a mark price that can't be manipulated with flash loans. Yeah, and I think then that could also give us more coins. Alternatives to central limit. Yeah, alternatives. It's funny because I mean, I really do I sit down and I think like, man, I think there can be an alternative to a order book, but I need to go on like a meditation retreat or something to find it. Yeah, but that's something in the design stage where we'll just have like free time. I think some kind of low pressure period where we can just think about that. Also, alternatives to order book, maybe we should think of it in, we should parameterize the question, like, what's the finality, how much are you willing to pay? Obviously the fees I think the fees should be very close to what they are here on Mango right now. How long would you be willing to wait for a trade to settle? I think any alternative to order book will just take longer. Like we have to just be accept. Like if it's like an auction, you might have to be 5 seconds or something. So we just have to parameterize that problem really well, like what we're willing to accept. User usability is not that bad. We have to be careful having many inexpert users without other things fixed. Because of legal consequences. I don't know about legal consequences. But if you mean, yeah, I don't know about legal.
Yeah, I think one thing that also came up with talking with Dominic was that we should, I mean, if Solana has like performance issues like it had in the last 3 months, probably there should be a way to compensate users that legitimately couldn't use the exchange, right? Like we kind of need to figure that out. At least that's I think it's very valid. We had a bunch of users who were like, I tried closing my position, I couldn't. And I've been there, right? Like I remember like one of the liquidator bots entered a position and I was just like trying to manually close it for 30 minutes at like 1 a.m. or something like that. It's just not a pleasant experience, I would say, all in all. like I think we need to like think about how we can enable it, but I think it's very normal that if you trade on, you know, a centralized exchange and it doesn't let you close your position, that in some form there's at least I think for very high profile clients, there's some kind of process in the end that is like, hey, we're sorry, we'll pay you back, right?
Are you the high profile client? Are you the high profile client?
No, but I mean, that's what happens, right? If people do a lot of volume for exchange, they're valuable customers and you don't want to lose them. So you go out of your way to make sure it works. And this kind of, let's say, mechanism is kind of useful, right? Because you really want to keep your customers. You don't want them to walk away. So if we talk about user experience, right, I think the biggest user experience issue we had in the last 6 months was Solana not working, right? So ignoring it feels dangerous, you know, as if we're not learning from our past experience. So
sorry, ignoring what? Ignoring?
Oh, then like the chain not working during high volatility times, right, is something that is just like, okay, it's actually not okay, right? And to some extent, even if Solana implements all the improvements they can dream of and it becomes a really great chain, there's always a remainder of a chance that stuff doesn't work out. And if there's 3 or 4 order book based derivative exchanges in which people couldn't close their position, maybe large market makers got liquidated left and right, then how do we make sure in that scenario we're the best ones, right? And I think the best one will be the one who gives more cash and is able to bail out the clients that really make the exchange work, right? And so I think it's good to think about that also, like to see how can we measure everything that happens, right? And then maybe retroactively say, hey, we saw that you were trying to close the trade, right? We were able to see it in the network. The leader just didn't execute it, right? Yeah. Like it's just a chain. Like we can't do anything about it, but
so are you
consider it valid, right?
So I know Solana was thinking about compensating everyone. They were thinking about compensating people unable to, you know, people who got liquidated, basically.
Yeah.
From their treasury. I am kind of skeptical. Okay, so that's like everyone. And then you're proposing something different, or you're kind of thinking of something different as like, maybe we should compensate like market makers, or I guess
people who are actually trying. So just to be able, like, you know, there's probably 10 people who had long positions that were liquidated, and out of those 10, maybe 7 didn't even care, right? But then maybe 3 of them actually did, and there is proof that they did.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if the data is logged correctly, so there could have been digital proof of them trying, and then at that point, I think they should be treated differently, right? So if we would do a bailout, right, of people who couldn't close their positions, then probably we want to take those 3 people and not the other 7 ones, right? And this is what an exchange should do. I mean, because if we build on shitty technology, then that's our problem, right, to some extent. And so the proving of that, right, like collecting the data in a way that we can later say with confidence, these were the people that actually shouldn't have get liquidated. I think it raises a very big issue, right? Like, because in the end, then we're saying, hey, we need to kind of like have a secondary system that is outside the core blockchain, and you know, how trustless is that really, right? But I think if the data is collected in a way that it's easy to verify that it's correct, that might be a that might be a different case. So maybe someone just needs to build like
is Solana
L2
not? I mean, if
RPC
Solana was planning on compensating, and they certainly have a lot of money, they have more money than us, and it aligns incentives more correctly if they do it, and they already expressed interest in doing it. So that makes a lot of sense. I would have to think about this other thing though I'd have to think about this other thing of like only compensating the people who have proof that they were trying. I guess if that's the policy, then everyone will demonstrate proof that they were trying. I guess everyone will have a stop loss, and they can show proof that the stop loss didn't go through.
Could be a stop loss, could be also, I mean, order executed manually during that time. I think there just needs to be maybe a system that verifies that certain transactions were submitted to RPC and not executed on chain. And if we had this trustless system that we could consult and ask, hey, did this person send a valid order at this point in time in order to close their position? Did they do a, you know, reasonably sized order with a reasonably sized price in order to close their position? And did it really not get executed before the liquidator?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's less about like where the money comes from right now. I just think about it as like, hey, that would be a really great user experience, right? I mean, that would certainly set us apart from like, and also like kind of like address the core issue why we were dissatisfied with things like Uniswap and Aave and Compound, where the moment volatility is high, you get outpriced and you can't save your dying position, right? In terms of margin trading, like we kind of faced the same demon again. In this case, it's you know, validators not processing something and you can't even pay for it. But you know, in the end, the experience is the same as the user. Is like, I wanted to close my trade. I couldn't.
No, I get it. Okay, so I think Austerity has the view that it's kind of like Solana. It would be like if Solana was compensating users on a centralized, or sorry, it would be like if Amazon was compensating users on a centralized exchange if there were AWS issues. Yeah, I understand the, yeah. Look, I mean, the main thing for me was, okay, maybe we can do this going forward. We'd have to have logging on this. The main thing for me was there was either we compensate, I mean, there was no way to tell who, you know, was trying to close their position and they couldn't, versus all the people who got liquidated, who would have gotten liquidated even if the exchange was perfect, because, you know, they just put up a big long position and they left and the market went down. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think, I mean, I do agree there's like a, yeah, I mean, we just have to figure it out. I don't think we can compensate everyone, right? Because a lot of people, like that's a lot of money, is my guess. So compensating the people who were trying to close and couldn't because of network issues makes some sense. Yeah.
I mean, it also goes back, right? Like it's really it's like the forgetting the password to your wallet kind of thing. It's very, I think it's like really like fundamental like crypto discussion, but I feel like solving that one, at least to a certain degree, and at least to satisfaction, might be a key differentiator, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now we don't have the data, right? Or do you have a solution of compensating the people for last week?
No, for last week, no. It's more about like recording the data going forward, and
I just feel like this opens a whole can of everyone now is going to be asking all the time, like, hey, look at this transaction. I tried, look, hey, I was, and then someone doesn't even have any proof. And they're just like, no, but I was there and I was trying. Like, people already do that, you know, just so they can, just they get lucky, and it's like $800 or something. And it's like not even worth my time.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's really worth their time. This is, yeah. That's what I'm worried about, is like this avalanche of,
yeah.
I think maybe if you can have good customer service, right? If we can, if Sir Crusher can crush the customer service aspect of this, we can build like a automated customer service type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. I just wanted to open it up because I feel there is a big unknown. Like, it seems like a really, like, can be bottomless pit, right, of like madness.
Yeah.
But then even, you know, this could happen also on a scale where we definitely want to like figure it out, right? It could be on a scale of someone lost like 1,000 Bitcoins because of it, and then it's like, ugh, right? So if you're like in, and maybe that person is like, you know, 20% of the exchange volume or something like that on that trader, right? And then it becomes like maybe even a, like, you know, vital business decision to like continue the business operations. So I'd rather like to have something in place that is just and fair for everyone, and handle those cases as well, rather than
I'm just saying,
do it one by one. Oh, okay, yeah, because you're big, we're doing it this time. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think
then, like,
there should be
so
a
addressing it
this.
before, creating a structure before, allows you to be more fair when it happens, rather than making a like an exception on the go because you really need to.
Yeah, no, I don't think you make exceptions on the go. I think it should be a process, and probably I'm not well equipped to do it. Maybe like the customer support setup. If Sir Crusher, whenever he's starting, I don't know if it's Monday. He can like take a look. I know someone was trying to close is what did BitMEX often would fail like this, where you're trying, you know, that you get system overload. I wonder what BitMEX did in those situations.